our next speaker is Madeline McDonald. She's a senior completing an animal science and general science double major. She plans to enroll in a graduate program in animal science and animal behavior and pursue a PhD so she can conduct research on animals, welfare, and behavior. So please welcome Madeline.
Hi guys. So I'm an animal science person. I already tell you, kind of look a little not as nice as I typically would. This class is crazy. But okay, so pretty much this title is all science-y. We're going to break it down for you. So equine temperament, behavior, we're going to look at that by exposing them to objects they may or may not have seen before. And what we're pretty much trying to do is scare them and see how they react. I know, but seriously, I've had people ask me, what the heck are you talking about when you say it? So, everybody good? All right, so pretty much what equine-assisted activities and therapies is you've got a horse and you've got a person, and they're brought together to improve the health of that person, mental and physically, just to improve the quality of life. I mean, it could be simple, like you're just grooming the horse, or it could be really like complex, like you're doing some sort of standing up on the horse's back, doing flips. I mean, it's there. So here at MTSU, we have the Center of Equine Recovery for Veterans over at the Horse Science Center. They are partnered with the VA, and they work with the disabled veterans, especially those who have mental illness. And so it's a benefit because there is also a class at the Horse Science Center, if you're interested, where you can actually work with the veterans and the horses. I don't actually know the time or day for that class, but I mean, something that would be really fun and beneficial. So what we did, I took from a number of different sources and compiled to make my own test, because this is what they want in a test. They want it simple, they want it cheap, they want effective, and they want to make sure that that horse is truly suitable. Combine all these, you got the perfect test. So what I use, and I will actually show you a picture of the objects in case you don't have any reference for that. We used a cow tracks, which is basically used in Western riding. It's this really long wire that we stretch across the arena, and it's got a little motor that moves a flag, just back and forth. Use a tarp, and just hooked it to a blue lunge line, just moved it up and down. And then we had a fog machine. Now, there's actually a difference between fog and a smoke machine. Fog machine, it's just a gas just coming out. Smoke machine, there is actually a smell to it. This did not have a smell. So we changed it because we actually called it a smog machine before this. Smoke machine. Well, smog machine is pretty accurate. Next, we have behaviorally defined adjectives. This is relatively new. I hadn't actually seen any studies where this has been used for horses, but they had 3 broad categories that worked really well with what we wanted to do. So we had anxiousness, excitability, and inquisitiveness. See, I can't even say it. Like, seriously, it's just curiosity. And then we used an instructor over at the Horse Science Center who's worked with the horses in the therapy riding program, and she gave them suitability scores. So here is the kind of the idea of what these terms actually mean. Anxiousness, what we're looking for is fear, is usually a negative reaction, ears pulled back, eyes wide, muscles tense, they're ready to leave. They don't want to be there anymore. Excitability, they're just level of movement, level of activity, positive or negative. That could be like, oh, looky here, this is awesome, this is so exciting. Or they'd be like, okay, get out of the way, get out of the way. Sorry guys, I don't drink coffee. And then inquisitiveness, just simple level of interest in the object. They could be like, ooh, computer, really exciting. Or they could be like all the way on the other side of the room. So I hope that kind of explained those pretty well. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. All right, so these are just a few images just to put some of this in perspective. For our heart rates that we measured, we actually put a heart rate monitor on them. And it's pretty much just a Fitbit for horses. Literally, the actual polar monitor is for people. But we actually, I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's actually a watch that actually records it as they're going, and then they have 2 little pads, one that hooks up close to the top, and then one that hooks down here. And then this is just the image over here of the cow tracks, just the motor, the actual flag that was moving back and forth. And then we had in the smaller arena, we had the tarp just hooked with the lunge line, and then we had the fog machine. I'm going to keep trying to keep from saying smoke machine because that's not what it is. So generally my thesis statement is this: exposing a horse to these novel objects that they may or may not have seen, and also objects not used in their primary riding discipline, while measuring heart rate, and we're looking at behavioral responses in videos, is an effective way to test whether their temperament is suitable. So pretty much what we did, we used 6 horses from the Horse Science Center. I do not recall if any of them are actually in the program. I'm pretty sure at least 2 of them are because they did super for these tests. We collected heart rate data using the heart rate monitor I showed you. We did scores for each of those 3 BDAs that I listed up here. 1, no expression. They did absolutely nothing. It was just a sad test. 2, 5, full expression. We had that too. That was really fun. So also too, our EAAT suitability assessment was provided by Andrea Rego, the instructor for that program. So we ranked them. Let's see, she ranked them kind of in the opposite direction. She ranked them 1 was least suitable, with 5 being most suitable. And then this is a video, just for a little context, for what 1, 3, and 5 look like. So this horse just stood there as this smoke machine was going off, and it was like, okay, I'll stay over here, and you stay over there. And then this is a 3. I mean, it got really close to it, very interested, but then when it started moving, there was definitely some movement, definite interest. It's like, okay, I'm gonna stay over here, but I'm gonna keep an eye on you. 5, this guy was hilarious. He did this the entire time, whether it was running or not. He just continuously was just trotting in circles. He would stand there, watch it, and then he'd go again. He was one of the funnier 2. Although it was funny, it was actually the 2 geldings that were most excited by all this stuff. So general setup of a test, for the first 2 minutes, the object was stationary. We just let them roam, and that actually did lead to a little bit of trouble. We did have one that did want to try and roll while it had the heart rate monitor on, which is a bad thing because that means no data. And so I think in some of the videos you could hear us saying, hey, stop that, stop that. And then after 2 minutes, we turned it on. They weren't expecting it. So of course, for most of their heart rates, they were up here. They were like, what the heck? That was in here with me. I didn't know it was gonna move. Didn't know it was gonna go off. And then after a minute, we turn it back off. And they were like, okay, I gotta find a way out. Or they're like, whatever. Then we turn it back on again for 1 more minute. And then what we wanna see between that first and that second spook minute is their heart rate going down. That is a good thing. And then the last 2 minutes, we just left the object stationary so they can go ahead and start just trying to calm their heart rate, to just rest. So this took just 8 minutes to do. I would say this is simple, time effective. Rest period, it ended up, because we did 3 horses one day, then we did 3 horses another day. So we actually alternated. We'd let one sit in for a rest period. We'd take the next one, go on, do a test. Then we'd bring that one back, go to the 3rd one, take it out to test. And it worked out perfectly. I think I might have a slide on this, yeah. Total testing time for each horse was around 114 minutes, almost 2 hours, but you gotta consider, I mean, that's like a 30-minute rest period. You don't necessarily have to have it, but it's a very good way to set them back to baseline before we start again, before we scare them again. And variance as well due to heart rate monitor issues. Some of them got so excited, the heart rate monitor came off during the spook minute, which was really depressing because we had some really good data. We had like 200 beats per minute, which is super high compared to the rest of about 50 to 55. So yes, that was disappointing, but once again. All right, so this is just kind of showing a comparison between both spook minutes, their heart rate, which we see it's good for the cow tracks. It went down. For the tarp, it went down. Smoke machine, I don't know what happened. They were just still freaked out. What could have been, honestly, the smoke machine is very sporadic. It might go off once and not go off again for that entire minute. Or it might doop, 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 keep going off and on. Yeah, only one was the fog machine. It just didn't go down. And then this is comparison of highest heart rates. These are averages. Like I said, we had more than 158, I think, was the max for the tarp. But just to show you, tarp was very effective. And it should be. It has been tested so many times. Okay, and then this is the new part. What we did, we had each of those, and then we scored them from the 1 to 5, if you guys remember. Cow tracks has the lowest scores. That means there was the least reaction. Even though you saw that one, he was doing like this. Overall average, we had at the highest a 2. And that was actually an interest, which doesn't exactly make the cow tracks a very good object to use. Tarp had the highest consistently with almost a 3 just for anxiousness alone. And then the fog machine, it was depressingly in the middle. I wanted more excitement. I wanted more excitement with the 2 objects that weren't the tarp, but that's not what I got. Also, one more thing we did. This was probably one of the most annoying parts I did, but it was very insightful, I think. I counted strides. Strides is pretty much where you walk, and then you're looking at a specific foot. Every time that foot lands, that's a stride. So I had to rewatch all of the videos. I think that was like 24 in total. And I had to watch just looking for foot count. But like I said, it showed some really good stuff right here. Cow tracks, they didn't move very much, except for that one. Tarp, it was consistent. They were continuously moving. And then the fog machine, it actually went down a little bit. So this is important because when a horse spooks, because it's bound to happen, there may be something they've never seen before. If they run away with the rider, if they make motions to move, the likeliness of the rider or the horse or both getting hurt is very high. So this is another indicator. You don't want the horse in the program if they will spook and they will just go out everywhere. Okay, so another thing, we compared Andrea's suitability scores to heart rate because she is like the golden standard. She has messed with these horses for a while, and so she knows pretty well their personalities. So when comparing her scores to heart rate, we got a really, really high correlation, which basically means heart rate is good. And so, see, for our particular group, we got a 2.67 out of 5. That means these guys are, they're a little slightly below, like, okay for the program. So I think we had 3 of them were 2s. So so what we could do with that, I will actually mention that. What we could have done is had more horses. That actually might have changed the average for, like we could have taken more horses that we knew were in the program and seen if it went up or down. If it went down, that's bad. If it goes up, then we've got more horses that are actually suitable. Okay, for each of our behaviorally defined adjectives, we had slightly lower correlations when compared to her suitability scores, but they tended towards significance. So this is another one of those things, if we had more horses, this might have been a higher correlation, a better indicator of suitability. And so I might have mentioned this, heart rate, rest times can be removed, but they're really good if you have multiple horses testing at once. Because for us, we were just rotating them in and out, in and out. They got time to rest, set them to baseline, start again, rise it again, rest them, and stuff. So that would make total testing time if you just went straight from test to test to test, 24 minutes. So that's part of what we were looking for short. There we go. Okay, and another thing I do want to say, the test items can be changed. We used the tarp because it was there, because it had been used in many tests. The smoke machine, we used that because we had it there. It's been used in some other previous MTSU thesis. And I think I saw it used in one research paper that I had out of like 20 something. And then we had the cow tracks. I had seen no evidence of that ever being used. So I was like, what the heck? Let's see if it works. And it didn't. So, so it was very informative. But when it comes to actually finding objects to use, I recommend that the horses well, not the horses use the objects. The people use objects that are in the therapy environment that these horses are going to be in. If they can't handle those objects, even without being ridden, they probably shouldn't be used. All right, and so pretty much the three main things: novel object test does work. Heart rate, definitely. Behavioral observations, yes. I mean, that's pretty much. And then just to kind of go over everything I've just gone over. Best was the heart rate and the TARP. Supplemental material, a live observation, video observation, counting strides, even though that really was awful. But not as effective, though, the fog machine and cow track. So maybe that would tell somebody, hey, you could try it. I mean, it may not work. It didn't really work very well for us, but you could try it. I mean, if they don't react very much to it, there's the flip side right there. BDAs, we just need more horses. That's all it is. But more horses means more time, and I only had a year to present this, guys. So, I mean, and then instructor scores combined with the heart rate indicated really good observations. And I believe, after that long-windedness, I believe that's everything that I have for you guys. Do you guys have any questions? Yes?
On one of your graphs, you had a star.
A star? Oh, that means it's statistically different. Yeah, that's with the statistics. Yeah. Any other questions? And if you do have questions, I mean, I'll be here at the end, so.